Miss Faye, I'm sorry about what happened back there.
It's alright. At least you told us the truth in the end, Mr. Wright.
Yeah, so I guess I can start to relax then?
Relax, my boy. You can't be serious after hiding such important facts.
But the next witness is my Dolly, right? She'll save me. I just know she will.
Why do you think that?
Huh? What do you mean? She's the love of my life, that's why.
The love of your life, huh? Would you mind telling me more about you and Miss Dahlia Hawthorne?
Sure, no problem. Dolly and I, we first met about 8 months ago right here in this very courthouse. Actually, I'm studying to be a lawyer on the side. Anyway, one day she and I just bumped into each other in a reading room downstairs. That's why I really think it was fate that brought us together. As soon as I first set eyes on her, I knew she was the one for me. Here, take a look at this! She gave this to me the day we met as a symbol of our love. She had been wearing it around her neck that day, but then she took it off, but before she gave it to me she said, "I want you to carry this."
So she gave it to you as a present, I see.
This darling little bottle is filled with memories of my darling little Dolly.
It certainly is a little bottle, alright.
Makes me so happy. I show it to everyone I meet. I want to share my happiness with the whole world.
Anyway. So after that, you and Miss Hawthorne started dating?
Yeah, but she's so shy. Every time I see her, she always says the same thing to me. Please give it back now.
What a strange girl asking for a present back like that.
Well, I guess it's just her way of trying to break up and not hurting his feelings. By the way, Mr. Wright, the day you first met Dahlia Hawthorne 8 months ago, it wouldn't happen to have been on August 27th, would it?
Huh? Yeah, it was. But how'd you...
This happened on August 27th, right here in the courthouse.
What's this? Newspaper clipping? Let's see, murder in the courthouse. Murder?
What are you reading there? Let me see that. Oh, I see. Mia, I think I understand what you're trying to say. And I think I understand why you suddenly took such a keen interest in this case. You believe there's some relationship between these two cases, am I correct?
I hope you don't mind, Mr. Grossberg. Hang on, I have to check that. I need to finish this myself.
Oh, yes, but I'm afraid what you have will not be enough, my dear. I'll go and have a look at the downstairs reading room and see what else I can find.
Thank you.
I want to do whatever I can to be of help to you, Mia. Well, looks like recess is about over. We'd better all get moving.
I guess so. That recess sure seemed longer than 20 minutes, though. Now you give me a break? What was the point of putting a break here? You could have put a break after the recess was declared, and then gave us this big secret that's going on in the background, and then proceed to this part.
Court will now reconvene. Mr. Payne, please call your witness.
This next person is someone who witnessed the crime as it happened. The prosecution calls Miss Dahlia Hawthorne to the stand.
Oh, I'll have... Wait. That theme music sounds familiar. What's with this deaf silence?
In my long career as a judge, I have been deceived by many witnesses.
Why do I suddenly sound like Abridged Tristan?
It's my job to doubt, to take no one at their word. But in your case, I must admit that you radiate a glow of complete sincerity.
I can't believe he actually said that.
What is he sweating for? Now then, witness, could you please state your full name?
Don't worry, sweetie. There's no need to be nervous.
If anyone says anything rude, you can be sure I'll cut them right down to size.
And I will bash them with my gavel.
I love how they look straight at me when they say that. Thank you for calming my nerves. You're all so nice. I almost feel right at home.
Not at all!
It was nothing.
If we may move on now. What is your full name and occupation? My name is Dahlia Hawthorne. I am a junior in literature at Ivy University. I just want to say it's an honor for me to be here in your noble presence.
The honor is all mine!
No, the honor is all mine.
Well, we know whose milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. Sir?
Is there something I can help you with?
You just go on and say whatever's on your mind.
I'm sure that there must be some kind of mistake. Feeny wouldn't kill anyone. I just know it.
Yes, I can see why you'd say that.
She's going to be a tough witness, all right. It only took her 12 seconds to wrap them all around her little finger.
Now then, please proceed with your testimony. Let's hear about what you witnessed on the day of the incident, if you please.
By the way, I think this is one of the few cases that I actually played in Japanese. I only played the games in Japanese for the sole sake of hearing the Japanese voice clips. This isn't a game that you should play if you are not great at reading kanji. I had been planning to go back to Feeny's place after class was over. Feeny and Dougie, they were talking behind the building. Then suddenly, Dougie got all wobbly and just collapsed. That's when Feeny noticed that I was there. I went to go and find some other students and they called the authorities.
I don't know what to say. According to you, Miss Hawthorne, the defendant didn't do anything wrong.
Young lady, as old as I am, even I recall how hot the flames of young passion can burn. Nevertheless, it is my job to discover the truth. Please, tell us the truth.
But I would never... That's more than enough, witness. I won't allow this to continue.
What do you mean by that?
Please, just let me proceed with my cross-examination, Your Honor. I, for one, don't plan to win my case on a bunch of papers and lies. You haven't changed a bit, Mia Fey.
What's this? So, you two are acquainted?
Yes, we've met before. Once. I'm not sure if this is a conflict of interest. I mean, I know it's for her, since we don't know it yet, but she has a personal vendetta against Dahlia. So, technically, she shouldn't really work on this case. Just saying.
In any case, Miss Fey, the floor is all yours.
It's good to see you again, Madame Fey. Madame? I'm no one's grandma yet, girlie. Now, unless I'm mistaken, Mr. Wright is in the art department. If that's the case, then what were you doing by the pharmacology building? Well, I'm in the literature department. I'm studying Japanese scenario poetry.
Oh, how wonderful. It's a humorous and satirical style of haiku, yes?
Nothing left to do. When a man reaches this age, sleep is his best friend. That's supposed to be poetry? Sounds more like a midlife crisis. For me to get to the art department, I have to walk through that back area.
Ah, yes, I see. That makes sense. When I want to enter the courthouse, I always walk through the front doors.
How else would you enter? Teleportation?
Through a window? Back door? Hulk smashing through the wall? So, who is this Dougie person?
Oh, I'm sorry. Doug Swallow. We were dating until about 8 months ago.
So what were Mr. Swallow and Mr. Wright talking about anyway?
How can you be so mean? I would never eavesdrop. I wasn't raised to be so rude and unrefined. That's right, Miss Faye!
Don't drag the witness down to your level.
Why am I being demonized here?
Please, go on.
Are you saying that the victim just collapsed on his own?
Yes.
In other words, the defendant never touched the victim. Is that right?
I was watching the whole time. Feeney never did a thing to Dougie.
If I press it for no good reason, I just know the judge will get angry with me. So, what did I do about your testimony just now? Feeble lies are not very becoming, Miss Hawthorne, so let's drop them, shall we?
What? I would never... Miss Faye, I will not allow you to badger this witness! I believe the defense is engaged in a fishing expedition. That is, she has no supporting... Please don't glare at me like that. I'm just doing my job.
Now then, Miss Hawthorne. The defendant's palm print was found on Mr. Swallow's leather jacket. It has already been shown that Mr. Wright did, in fact, push the victim.
What?
There's no need to try to cover for the defendant. It would be much better if he came out and told us the whole truth.
There's nothing to worry about, young lady. Just tell us everything that you saw.
Yes, Your Honor. I will. If you don't mind, I'd like to revise my testimony.
Looks like we're finally getting somewhere. Gestern standen wir am Abgrund. Heute sind wir einen Schritt weiter. You didn't see it?
Well, I saw the moment that he fell to the ground.
And at that time, there was only the two of them at the scene. The defendant, Phoenix Wright, and the victim, Doug Swallow.
Yes, that's right.
So then, what did it look like they were doing to you?
I thought they were having a nice, friendly afternoon conversation.
Oh, give me a break.
That's why I really wasn't watching them all that closely.
Did you notice anything out of the ordinary at all?
No, nothing at all, Mr. Judge.
Oh, I like the sound of that, Mr. Judge. Now then, please proceed with your testimony.
You say you didn't hear any noise. Is that correct?
Yes, that's why I was very relaxed, looking at the scenery around me.
That's nice, but I find it just a little odd. I have here the testimony of your boyfriend, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
and he clearly testified to the effect that when he pushed the victim, he heard a sharp, loud noise. He said that? If you were really that close to the two of them, why didn't you hear this noise as well?
Well, maybe the noise just wasn't all that memorable.
But according to Mr. Wright's testimony, it was a sharp noise like a snap. There's no way a noise like that could fail to make an impression. May I have a moment to answer?
By all means.
I know the reason why I didn't hear the noise. That theme of hers sounds so familiar. You see, the truth is, I had my headphones on and I was listening to music at the time.
Honey, I'm just gonna say this. You must be deaf if you put your music loud enough that you can't hear a loud snap. I tried to keep my music not that loud, but loud enough, and I'm pretty sure I would have heard something like that. But then we all know that you're lying. Technically, she's wearing white, but it is pink. Spoiler, she's the murderer, of course.
Headphones? You mean that both of your ears were covered?
I was gonna say no, she has a headband with only one earphone, but I do have that kind of headphone for my Xbox 360, so yeah.
The rain was just beginning to let up, but it seemed as though Tor wasn't ready for his fun to come to an end yet. So the sky continued to flash and rumble.
Thunder and lightning, huh?
Yes, I'm afraid of the sound of thunder. So I put my headphones on to block it out.
You'd think somebody who is scared of thunder would not go outside during such weather.
Well, Your Honor, as you can see, there weren't any contradictions in her testimony after all.
Wait a sec, Mia. The testimony just now. She said something that could completely change this whole case.
Your Honor, there is a problem with it. I'm getting too fast.
There is a problem with the witness's testimony.
What do you mean?
Didn't you notice? She said there was lightning, correct?
Yes, what about it?
Well, lightning is actually a large discharge of electricity in the atmosphere, am I right?
I guess so.
Now's not the time for a science lesson, Miss Faye.
Yes, Your Honor. Anyway, since the cause of death was electrocution, isn't it possible that the victim died from being hit by a bolt of lightning?
I thought getting hit by a bolt of lightning made you clairvoyant.
I must admit that the thought had not occurred to me.
Just what kind of thoughts do occur to this guy anyway? This entire case is built on the premise that Mr. Doug Swallow was murdered. But that very premise itself is mistaken. The defense believes that Mr. Swallow was, in fact, the victim of a stray bolt.
When the stray bolt had hit the lightning rod on the building close by, or the lightning pole thingies that were carrying the cables, the way I know it, lightning tends to hit things that are very high.
Could it be that the death was actually accidental?
Alright, you did it, Mia. I'll be taking that not guilty now.
I'm hurt that you have such a low opinion of me, Miss Faye.
Huh?
I'm not a fool, you know. The prosecution has done its research, Your Honor. We found that there were no lightning strikes on that day at the location.
Does that mean that she's lying? Dahlia, that is? Well, of course she is, but you know what I mean.
We have evidence that the electrical cable is definitely linked to this case.
Evidence, Mr. Payne? What is this evidence?
This affidavit.
I still can't pronounce that name on the first try.
And who is this affidavit from?
The pharmacology students who were conducting experiments in their lab that day.
Or was it a fit? Was it affidavit or a fitafit? Oh, whatever it was.
Allow me to read out to the court the testimonies of pharmacology students. All equipment in the labs lost power all of a sudden at around 3 p.m. that day.
Was it a blackout?
All of the lab's equipment runs on high voltage, Your Honor.
So you're saying the equipment lost power because...
Precisely. They lost power because of the severed electrical cable. The power outage occurred at approximately 3 p.m.
Which fits with the time of death listed in the autopsy report.
Exactly. In other words, the victim died as a result of touching the severed electrical cable. According to the students, the cables were very old. They were planning on having them replaced in the near future.
You know, considering they are cables for high voltage electricity, you would think that would be a priority and that they would be amongst the first things to be changed if they showed any signs of age.
Apparently the cables had become so brittle that even the smallest bump would have caused them to break.
Even more reason why they should have been exchanged long ago.
However, there is one thing that troubles me. If the cable could have been broken by any small bump, then it wouldn't have snapped if it hadn't been bumped into, correct?
Well, I suppose you could say that.
Miss Faye, do you have any thoughts regarding the cause of the severed cable?
Your Honor? I don't like how this is looking one bit. I have to come up with something to try to regain some momentum. If it pleases the court, the defense would like to state its opinion.
Well, then let's hear it. Who or what was it that caused the cable to break?
Your Honor, please think back to Mr. Wright's testimony.
The defendant's testimony?
He said that after he pushed the victim, he heard a loud, sharp noise. Now, this happened at around 3 p.m., correct?
Yes, that sounds right. Wait, are you saying that?
The lab equipment lost power at 2:55 p.m., which fits right into Mr. Wright's timeline. In other words, it was Mr. Wright's shove that caused the power outage.
Yes, the prosecution also came to that same conclusion. And it was that very shove that caused Mr. Swallow to be electrocuted.
I'm afraid I can't agree with you there, Mr. Payne.
What's that supposed to mean?
Take a good look at where the victim landed after being shoved. See the umbrella? It's by the electrical pole. That's right. The victim banged into that pole as a result of being pushed. It was that impact that caused the cable to break.
Well, that makes sense. And then the victim was electrocuted.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but no, it doesn't make sense that way. If the victim was shoved into the far pole, then he couldn't have been electrocuted by the severed cable in the foreground here.
No!
In other words, someone other than my client must have electrocuted the victim. Maybe he was an asshole and he ran into the cable, making this a suicide. But of course we can't really have suicides. Ah, the lamentations of my enemy, how I've longed to hear them.
It's true. The defense is absolutely correct.
No, we're just giving the possibility that it could have happened.
There doesn't seem to be any way the defendant could have...
Mr. Judge, sir, may I say something? The Madame Attorney's explanation... She said some things that are a little different than I remember them. What the? Please, just once more. May I please testify one last time? Please, Mr. Judge?
Of course it's alright. Just go right ahead and give your new testimony.
This is it. She's finally starting to show her true colors. If she did, I would be using a different voice for her, so not quite yet.
The truth is, Feeny pushed him twice. The first time was into the electrical pole. That's when the cable broke. Then Dougie tried his best to run away from him. But Feeny caught up and crashed into him from behind. The cable snapping and Dougie being electrocuted, it all occurred in less than a minute.
So after being shoved, the victim got up and tried to run away.
And that is when the defendant pushed him for the second time. I'm so sorry, Feeny, but I just have to tell the truth.
You know, you'd think Feeny would be saying something about now.
Am I doing the right thing? Am I, Mr. Judge?
Of course you are, my dear. As painful as it may seem, you are. Now then, Miss Faye, you may proceed with the cross-examination.
Miss Hawthorne, previously in the testimony you said the following. Actually, I didn't see the moment he pushed Dougie.
I know. I'm sorry. I wanted to protect Feeny.
So that's why you basically lied to the court?
I was a bad girl, I know. Mr. Judge?
Yes?
Would you please forgive little old me?
Of course he won't! What you did is called
Oh, come now, it was just a little old white lie. We'll forget it this time, but please be more careful from now on, alright?
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Judge.
Not at all! Ho ho ho!
The judge had better be more careful himself. Dark Alley is friendlier than that girl. Nobody seems to care that the other witnesses performed perjury. So really, her lying, not being prosecuted for it, that's totally normal. You're saying you actually saw the victim get pushed into the electrical pole?
I know he doesn't look it, but Feeny can be a bit of an imp when he wants to be.
Maybe I'm thinking of different imps, but I thought imps were tiny and were incapable of doing much. Oh, really?
But I never imagined that it would cause an electrical cable to break. Feeny really is scary when he gets mad.
Yes, he sounds like a very dangerous individual indeed.
So, let me get this straight. You were happily listening to music on your headphones while you watched the scene unfold?
Miss Faye, I'll have to ask you to stop badgering the witness. I was happy. I was so scared that I couldn't even move. All I could do was stand there and cheer them on.
Cheer them on? What do you mean by that?
Well, I wished the best for them both, and that they would each give the fight their all.
That's very sweet of you to be so supportive.
And what happened after that?
That doesn't sound quite right. There were handprints found on the chest of the victim's leather jacket. Mr. Payne, were there also prints found on the back of his leather jacket?
Well, no, there weren't.
Madame Faye, may I suggest that you listen a little more carefully? I said that he crashed into him from behind, right? I feel he wouldn't leave any prints behind in that case, would he?
But, Tackle might leave behind an imprint of a shoulder, or maybe some fabric from that supposedly hand-knitted sweater. Did you actually witness the moment the victim was electrocuted?
I'm sorry, I didn't actually see it. I turned my eyes away.
That's understandable.
Yes, indeed. It would have been a horrific sight for anyone to behold.
If I don't figure out the contradiction here, it's all over. She didn't have much time to come up with her lie, so this is my best chance. There must be a hole in her testimony somewhere. Think, Mia. I think it was this? Yes. That's enough, witness. I'm afraid I don't understand. You will in a minute. Could you please take a look at this picture? Oh, that medicine. That's the one Feeny likes to take for his cold. It's not the medicine I want you to look at. It's the wristwatch. It's stopped at the precise time the victim was electrocuted. In other words, 3:05 p.m.
Yes, and your point is, Miss Fay?
My point is this. What time was it when the lab suffered that power outage due to the cable snapping?
Well, according to the student's testimony, the answer is clear. It was 2:55 p.m.
Would you care to explain to the court, Miss Dahlia Hawthorne, what exactly happened during this 10-minute interval? The defense proposes that it was during this interval that the real murderer killed Mr. Duck Swallow.
This is nonsense! The real murderer!
Even you can't deny that the time between the cable breaking and the electrocution are completely unaccounted for.
Then who was it? Who else are you saying could have done it?
There's only one person who could have murdered Mr. Swallow. Only after my client had left the scene was there a window of opportunity for the real killer.
Miss Fay? Is the defense ready to indict someone as this real killer?
It's finally time. This is the moment I've been waiting for. Yes, Your Honor. We are ready.
Very well. But remember, if you accuse the wrong person, you will be penalized. Think very carefully before you speak, Miss Fay. Let's have it. Who is the real killer?
It could only have been you, Dahlia Hawthorne.
How can you? The defense is grasping at straws.
10 minutes passed between the time the cable broke and the time of the electrocution. What exactly were you doing that whole time, Miss Hawthorne? Were you really listening to some music while cheering them both on as they fought? I find it hard to believe that you didn't lift a finger to stop the men dearest to you.
Miss Fay! What? I mean, why? Let's say...
Miss Hawthorne, I believe you did witness the two men fighting on that day. However, after Mr. Red pushed the victim and subsequently left the scene, it was you who pushed Mr. Swallow to his death by your very own hands.
How can you say something so mean, Madame Fay? I didn't do anything.
Miss Fay, this is a very serious charge.
Your Honor! Please, I have something I want to say!
What is it?
Please strike everything the defense did just now from the record.
What the... Are you daft?
You're totally wrong, Miss Fay. Dolly, she couldn't do something like that.
Mr. Wright, get back in your seat. Bailiff, grab that man.
No, leave my Dolly alone.
That boy.
He's gotten himself in way over his head.
Oh, Mr. Grossberg, you're back. And I accidentally gave you the wrong voice. Sorry.
It seems I've arrived just in the nick of time. I found a police report on that incident in your newspaper clipping.
Thank you so much. This is exactly what I was hoping for. Well, let's check this out.
Okay. You'd better take a good look at it.
I just did.
It details how you came to lose your boyfriend.
I'm gonna have to say something about that later on. Just somebody remind me of it. Somehow.
The defense has made a very serious accusation. Mr. Payne, what do you have to say about this?
Well, really, Your Honor, that is
May I interrupt you for just a moment, Mr. Prosecutor?
Don't you worry, my dear. I have the situation well in hand. That is go right ahead.
Mr. Fane, are you seriously accusing me of killing my sweet Dougie?
Yes, I am. Not only am I saying you murdered Doug Swallow, but you also tried to pin the whole thing on your current lover, Phoenix Wright.
I told you that you should let me handle this. Sorry. Please go ahead. How can you say that? I'm absolutely devoted to my dear Feeny. The notion that I would try to frame him is ludicrous. This is all just too much for poor little me to bear.
Oh, I believe the girl is trying to ask what on earth her motive would be.
The answer to that lies somewhere in this police report. It must! 8 months ago, an incident occurred in the basement cafeteria of this building. And then, that same day, the two of them accidentally meet. Your Honor, the defense requests further testimony from Miss Dahlia Hawthorne.
Further testimony? What about?
About the events of the day when she first met the defendant, Mr. Phoenix Wright.
What could that possibly have to do with this case?
The witness claims that she has no reason to frame the defendant. Am I correct? Well, I have evidence that suggests that she, in fact, has a very good reason.
Very well then. The court grants the defense's request. Young lady, would you mind staying on for just a bit longer?
Of course not, Mr. Judge.
Get ready for the battle of your life, Dahlia Hawthorne. I'd just like to say, if she has evidence that could potentially show a motive why she would want to frame Phoenix, maybe it'd be better to show that first and then potentially ask for proof that she would have no reason.
I first met my darling Feeny 8 months ago. It's like we were destined to meet in this very courthouse's basement reading room. The moment our eyes met, my heart skipped a beat. We've been going out ever since that fateful day.
We're so lovey-dovey we literally make people sick. It's just jealousy, I think.
No, I think it's just plain nausea.
Mr. Wright, do that again, you will be held in contempt of court.
Oh, don't give me that silly threat. This is like 5-6 years before, Kaguma actually threatened Phoenix with that, so yeah, you're never gonna go through with it. And now we enter the final act of our little drama.
As we used to say in the days of my youth, go get her!
Good job, Grossberg. Oh, right, I don't have to read that again. I just have to press. So until that time, you had been dating Doug Swallow?
Yes, I'm a real fool, I know. Letting my emotions change so quickly. I'm ashamed of myself.
No, not at all. Look at me, I'm infamous for changing my mind. My critics have even taken to call me Judge Fickle. Ho 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 ho.
Maybe you should look for a different line of work.
Despite that, however, he always hands down the correct verdict. That's why some people also call him the Great Judgini.
The courthouse reading room? That's a strange place to meet the love of your life. That's not true, Madame Faye. After all, Feeny was not only an art student, but he was also planning on becoming a lawyer. I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about you, Miss Hawthorne. What was a literature student like you doing in the courthouse reading room?
Okay, I never studied literature, but I did attempt to get a training position for a legal job, so I will say maybe the appeal was for a literature student to read legal and try to understand it, see how it's written and how it can actually contain more information than you think it does, because it is written in legal, which is why I love legal. It's so much fun to just read between the lines.
This line of questioning is a waste of time. It has nothing to do with a murder case.
Miss Faye, I'm warning you. If this has nothing to do with Mr. Swallow's case.
I have to remember the Duchess and Dahlia side. I'd better tread carefully. Your Honor, if you allow me some latitude, I think I can establish relevance. Please ask her to continue on with the testimony.
Very well. What were you doing downstairs in the courthouse reading room?
If it pleases Your Honor, the answer is simply this. You're writing a paper? On what? On the relationship between modern scénario poetry and the criminal underworld. What?
Oh, that sounds like a fascinating research idea.
Am I getting old? Now I've even forgotten what I've forgotten. Again with the midlife crisis stuff?
Yeah, why did that girl really come to this courthouse? Isn't that what you wanted to know? And speaking of forgetting things, you haven't forgotten the police report, have you? I went through a lot of trouble to get it, my dear, so be sure to read it carefully.
Miss Hawthorne, you weren't here because of your research paper, were you? Didn't you actually come here for a much more important reason?
What is the meaning of that cocky smile on your face, Miss Faye?
8 months ago, right here in this very courthouse, there was another tragedy.
Yes, Dahlia and Phoenix meeting was a tragedy.
Another tragedy?
Do you mean the incident in which an attorney was poisoned?
The name of the suspect in that incident is listed here in this report. And that name is Dahlia Hawthorne.
What?
Dahlia Hawthorne?
Yes, the sweetie pie in everyone's eye, Miss Dahlia Hawthorne. She was the prime suspect in a criminal case just 8 months ago.
This is unbelievable. It's true that the loveliest rose can hide.
Miss Faye, that's not fair. You can't slander my widows with an unrelated case. I, Winston Payne, will not allow it.
Mr. Prosecutor, I believe I was speaking.
Pardon me. Go right ahead.
It's true that about 8 months ago, the police expressed some interest in me.
Expressed some interest, huh?
Mr. Judge, sir, I know under oath, so I'll tell you the absolute truth. I did not commit the crime that occurred during that incident 8 months ago.
I see.
Okay, I've tied the two crimes together. Now I've just got to stay on the offensive.
Well done, Mia. Oh, you've really lit a fire in my heart and my buttocks. I can hardly tell which is more inflamed, my spirit or my hemorrhoids.
I met the lawyer who was poisoned to discuss something in the cafeteria that day. I left my seat for just a moment, and that's when it happened. From what I heard, it was a liquid poison that is lethal, just 2 teaspoons. Not only that, I heard it was a very special kind of poison. So you see, I'm innocent. I wouldn't even know where to get a poison like that.
So that's what happened here 8 months ago.
However, as you've heard from the witness's testimony, she has nothing to do with it. I think the defense is just about out of tricks.
I'm terribly sorry, Mr. Payne. But I'm afraid the defense has many more tricks up its sleeve today. And I'll be sure to show them to you before the end of this cross-examination.
Ugh. Why does the defense suddenly feel stronger?
Oh, Mia, you're glowing with the true lawyer's aura, my dear. That proud posture and self-confidence, absolutely smashing.
What were you talking about with the defense attorney? I'm sorry, but that's confidential.
According to the report, you were being interviewed regarding another case.
The lawyer that was killed, he said he wanted to talk about an incident I was caught up in when I was younger. Why didn't you tell us all what that incident was?
That has absolutely nothing at all to do with this case.
Objection sustained. The defense's question is stricken from the record.
You get involved in a lot of incidents, don't you, Miss Hawthorne? Well, I guess I was just born under a bad sign.
Don't worry, Dorothy. I'll protect you.
You heard the man. Now that is true love, young lady.
Oh, Feeny. Please.
Ugh, those two really are making me sick, albeit for decidedly different reasons.
How long were you gone? I've already answered all these questions for the police. But if you must know, maybe 10 or 20 minutes.
And where were you during this stretch of time? Using the toilet?
What are you saying, Miss Faye? Toilet? My perfect old dolly doesn't poop.
And I'll be honest, that is the one hilarious line that young Phoenix actually says in his entire appearance. The rest is garbage. But that is kind of funny.
You heard the defendant, Miss Faye. Better luck next time.
Oh, Feeny.
The police have already looked into this whole matter. This line of questioning is nothing but a waste of the court's time.
Objection sustained. Miss Hawthorne, continue with the testimony.
About how much liquid is 2 teaspoons? Oh god, don't ask me.
Well, let me see. My bottle of eye drops says it's half fluid ounce, which is equal to 3 teaspoons.
So it's about 2/3 of that amount, huh? The poison was found in the lawyer's mug of coffee. It must have been after I left the table. Someone must have quietly slipped it in there.
A special kind of poison? How so?
Well, I heard that it's almost impossible to detect.
Oh? And where would something like that come from?
I'm sorry, all I know is what I overheard the policeman say. They said something about using advanced chemical processes to purify it.
Chemical processes? Well, that's quite, impressive. Most impressive.
The better question is, how did the criminal get something like that?
You wouldn't know how to get that kind of poison. I don't believe you.
What?
In fact, you had easy access to that kind of poison, didn't you? At your boyfriend's lab.
Boyfriend? You mean the victim Dick Swallow?
That's right. Up until 8 months ago, Miss Hawthorne was dating Mr. Swallow. And if you recall, Mr. Swallow was a pharmacology student at Ivy University. Do pharmacologists have access to poisonous substances?
Pharmacology.
His laboratory contained highly advanced chemistry equipment. In fact, without such equipment, the culprit could never have obtained such a rare and special poison. Well, Miss Hawthorne, it seems you had access to such a poison after all. And then, it was a matter of slipping it into the victim's coffee when he wasn't looking. The only person who could have done that was the one sitting at this very table. You!
Could it be?
That's nothing but a balance.
May I say something, Madame Faye?
What is it, Miss Hawthorne?
The amount of poison in the coffee was 2 teaspoons, correct? In order to carry that much, you would need some kind of container.
Well, yes, that's true.
I was searched immediately after the incident took place.
Quite true. In fact, the entire courthouse was turned upside down.
But they didn't find a suspicious container anywhere, did they?
She's right. They even mentioned that in the report. Well, you could have easily gotten rid of something that small.
Excuse me, madame, but this is a court of law. If you're saying I threw the poison container away, I think you need to show some kind of proof.
Proof? She got me good with that. I thought baseless conjecture was okay in this court.
Provide some evidence or I'll have to disallow this line of questioning, Miss Faye.
Unless we can come up with some evidence, we're going to lose this lead.
The police conducted a full body search of Dahlia and the entire courthouse. And yet the container holding the poison disappeared right after the crime occurred.
If you're going to accuse the lady of committing the murder, then where is the container the poison was carried in? What happened to it?
You were forced to get rid of the container in a hurry, weren't you? And that's why you passed it on to someone that had nothing to do with the case. Someone that you knew wouldn't be searched. Actually, if they're going to search her and then search the entire courthouse, you'd think they might check other people's body or bags in case she had slipped it out into somebody else's bag or something like that. But then the Ace Attorney verse, they don't do anything like that.
Who is this person?
Mr. Phoenix Wright, of course.
So the defendant was this witness's accomplice?
Of course not. She gave the poison to him disguised as a present.
What? But that's...
That's a charming little necklace. Is this a little bottle? It's really quite cute. So what about it? What does it mean, Miss Faye?
The day that the witness met and fell for Mr. Phoenix Wright was 8 months ago. August 27th, the very same day as the poisoning incident. Under the pretense of love, the witness gave my client a present. All for the purpose of hiding the one piece of evidence that would give her away.
What? Are you saying there's a deadly poison in the air?
No, there's no longer any poison in that bottle. However, I'm certain if the crime lab were to analyze it, they would find a trace amount.
On behalf of Dolly, I object.
Mr. Wright, control yourself.
I won't let you bully her like this!
Mr. Wright, I thought I told you to stay in your seat.
Mr. Wright, why? Why are you going through so much trouble to protect her?
Why? Because I'm madly in love with her.
Madly in love. I haven't heard anyone say that in a long time.
Mr. Wright, have you ever thought about this? Why exactly would a woman like Dahlia Hawthorne want to date you anyway?
It's an insult to Phoenix. I'll allow it.
Well, I guess she must be madly in love with me too.
Mr. Wright, please open your eyes. At this point in the trial, I think it should be obvious to everyone. The real reason that Dahlia Hawthorne is dating you. Dahlia Hawthorne was not and is not madly in love with you. The only thing she's after is that bottle necklace you love to wear around your neck.
My necklace?
Back there in the waiting room, you said it yourself.
Yeah, but she's so shy. Every time I see her, she always says the same thing to me. Please give it back now.
What a strange girl asking for a present back like that.
For Dahlia Hawthorne, that necklace irrefutable evidence of her crime. That's why she absolutely had to get it back.
You're lying.
But you never gave it back to her. And to make things worse for her, you insisted on showing it to everyone you met. That's why she...
I don't believe you. That's a lie.
Mia, are you alright? The defendant, he's getting away! Bailiff, hurry after him! Mia, are you alright?
Yes, I think so.
That boy, he went completely insane.
Where is Mr. Wright?
It looks like the bailiff caught him, so he should be brought back here soon.
Thank goodness.
What is it?
The bottle necklace. Miss Hawthorne's present. It's gone!
What? That's terrible.
Mr. Wright must have grabbed it when he slammed into me.
So that's what happened.
That's the only thing that could have saved him. What in blazes are we supposed to do now? Mr. Wright, this sort of behavior is unprecedented in the history of this court.
I'm sorry. I'm afraid that your apology is not enough.
Mr. Wright, what did you do with the bottle necklace?
Forgive me, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Just give back the necklace.
I ate it.
You what?
You ate it?
It was too big to swallow, so I had to chew it into little bits first, but yeah.
His teeth chewed up glass? Or was that little bottle made out of plastic? We don't know. What the?
What is he doing now?
Your Honor, you've got to stop the trial. Mr. Wright, are you feeling okay? Does your stomach hurt? The bottle you swallowed may have had some poison left in it.
It seems the defendant has proven the prosecution's case for us. Clearly that bottle did not contain the deadly poison.
How can you be so sure?
I think that's obvious. As you can see, the defendant is still very much alive.
Well, they also say idiots are difficult to kill, so...
As for the poison, more like a fledgling defense attorney's overactive imagination.
So it would seem.
No, there must be some mistake. The bottle must not have had any poison left in it. Either that or the poison was lost as a potency.
There! It's alright, rookie! Trusting your client is the most noble thing a defense attorney can do. And it's heartwarming to see that you place this much faith in Mr. Wright. But that's how it is for us on the prosecution side, too. For example, I would trust the witness, Miss Hawthorne, with my very life. Which is why I can state that your assessment of her is completely wrong.
That's enough. Unfortunately, Miss Faye, I cannot accept your explanation of the events.
But why?
This may be impossible for a beginner like you to understand, but in the court of law, evidence is everything.
Your evidence system sucks. Ugh. Even though I've proven so much, is she going to get away with everything?
Well, now that suspicion surrounding Miss Hawthorne has been cleared up, I would like to proceed with the trial.
Mr. Wright?
I'm sorry, Miss Faye. It totally slipped my mind. I'm really, really sorry. I know you believed in me, and I feel like I really let you down.
Mr. Wright, what are you trying to say?
There's something I forgot to tell you.
What is it?
That day I met Duck Swallow.
That girl, you shouldn't see her anymore.
It's none of your business.
I'm telling you for your sake. If you continue to see her, it's going to be bad news.
You're lying!
Just listen to me. There's something you need to know about that girl. Last night someone stole some poison from our lab.
Poison?
The same thing happened 8 months ago. A drug sample was stolen. She came to the lab that time too. It could only have been her. That girl is a thief.
Stop it! Don't talk about her like that.
Is it true? Did he really say that?
That's ridiculous. There's one more thing. After I pushed him that day, I got worried and came back to have a look.
God, her hair looks stupid on that angle.
And she was there. Dolly was right there.
Hey, look, she's wearing gloves. I never noticed that before, but she's wearing gloves in this picture.
She was crouched down next to him.
What?
She told me to not ever tell anyone about it, but... I'm sorry, Dolly. Your Honor, the defense is... Miss Faye, you tell them. Dolly didn't do it. She's innocent.
So Dahlia stole poison 8 months ago too. If you put that together with Mr. Wright's testimony, then there's only one possible conclusion. The defense believes that Miss Dahlia Hawthorne stole some poison on the night before she killed Duck Swallow.
The night before?
Naturally, her motive for stealing it was to kill someone.
Miss Faye?
If you're so certain of your theory, then let me ask you this.
Mia, this is your last chance. Think carefully now. There's something that you desperately wanted to get back. Therefore...
Exactly who was Miss Dahlia Hawthorne planning to kill?
There was one person that was standing squarely in Miss Dahlia Hawthorne's way. And that person Was Mr. Phoenix right?
Me? That's preposterous. After all, it was Doug Swallow that was murdered.
Well, it's true that that's how things worked out. But let's remember that Mr. Swallow died of electrocution, not poison. The person that Miss Hawthorne was planning to poison was, in fact, you, Mr. Phoenix Wright. There's no one else that it could be.
I thought Mr. Wright and Miss Hawthorne were in love.
Poor Mr. Wright. This must be killing him. Hang in there. We'll bring you to justice. I swear it. As I said before, the only thing Miss Hawthorne truly cared about was the one piece of evidence linking her to that incident 8 months ago. That's right. The bottle necklace. That's all she cared about.
But even so, why would you go so far as to murder him?
8 months ago, just after the fall of that attorney in the basement cafeteria, Dahlia Hawthorne could think of only one thing. How to get rid of the bottle necklace as quickly as possible.
No, it can't be.
It was a pretty good move she made too. The evidence was missing for a long time. But there was just one big problem. Although she got him to hide the evidence, Mr. Wright refused to return it to her. To him, the tiny little bottle was a cherished treasure. He even showed it to everyone he met.
You mean, that's why she tried to kill Mr. Wright?
Correct, Your Honor. It was to retrieve that piece of evidence.
It can't be true.
Feeny, what a joke you are. Honestly, how can any woman ever count on you for anything? I even told you time and time again to keep your trap shut about me and that necklace. You disgust me.
But Miss Hawthorne?
It appears that this trial will be coming to an end soon. Fine. You can tell you plan on making me into a criminal no matter what I say. You are a criminal, Miss Hawthorne. We'll see about that. But first, where's your evidence? It seems your sniveling little crybaby reclined has eaten the bottle as a snack. Well... Hey, old man, are you senile or something? Why did you say something instead of sitting there with a dumb look on your face?
Miss Hawthorne, what's happened to you?
Are you really that shocked? Or do you prefer me this way, Mr. Judge? With absolutely no proof, you treat a voluntary witness as she's a mass murderer. Well, I have nothing more to say. I'll be heading home now if you don't mind.
But you're not finished.
Fine. Then ask this nasty old hag to finish up already. I can't let her get away this time.
Stop, Mia. If you keep on pushing without any evidence, you could pay the ultimate price as a lawyer.
The ultimate price?
You'd be forced to take off your attorney's badge forever, I'm afraid.
I don't remember that being mentioned for Phoenix in the fourth game. Spoilers. No. You'd better think it over carefully, Miss Fay. Or should I say, Miss Gray. Oh, how very witty, Dahlia.
Well, Miss Fay, can you provide evidence that would establish her guilt once and for all?
If I mess up here, my career as a lawyer is over. But to be honest, at this point I don't have had any evidence that's well-founded. Even so, I'd rather lose my attorney's badge than let her get away with murder. Your Honor, the defense would like to present proof.
Impossible! You can't possibly...
Stupid woman.
It is the opinion of the court that there has already been enough discussion. Therefore, I will allow only one piece of evidence to be presented.
Just one?
If you are unable to establish her guilt, then I'm afraid that a very harsh verdict will immediately hand it down on Mr. Wright.
I understand, Your Honor. I can just imagine the headlines for tomorrow's newspaper. Up-and-coming lawyer plummets to earth before she gets the chance to soar. She was planning to poison Mr. Wright. If that's the case, then the poison was probably there.
Well then, Miss Faye, please present your evidence. Show to this court irrefutable proof that Miss Hawthorne was planning to poison Mr. Wright.
Here it is, Your Honor. The evidence that will prove her guilt once and for all.
Cold Killer X? Mr. Phoenix Wright's beloved cold medicine.
Does our rookie defense attorney have a bit of a cold?
If I did, I still wouldn't take this cold medicine. After all, it's been poisoned.
What?
Remember what the defendant said in his testimony.
But I lost my bottle of it around lunchtime on the day of the accident. I always eat with Dolly, just the two of us.
She was the one who took his bottle of Cold Killer X. Then she poisoned it, knowing that Mr. Wright was going to take some.
Now you're really grasping at straws. After all, it was the victim, Duck Swallow, that was holding the medicine.
I would like the court to recall the crime that happened here 8 months ago. Where did Miss Hawthorne hide the evidence?
Huh? What are you talking about?
8 months ago, the poison was hidden in her bottle necklace, which she then gave to someone else for safekeeping. Someone she had accidentally run into the hair reading room. My client, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Yes, she did the same thing this time as well. After shoving the victim, Mr. Phoenix Wright left the scene of the crime. That is when the murderer, Dahlia Hawthorne, appeared. With her, she was carrying the poisoned bottle of Cold Killer X. This, of course, was so she could carry out her plan to murder Mr. Wright.
I believe she did testify that she was going to meet with the defendant.
Yes, and she heard and saw everything that happened at the scene of the crime, including what the defendant and victim were arguing about, and the cut electrical cable. That's when she realized I can't allow Duck Swallow to live. She used the severed electrical cable to silence him forever. Unfortunate for her, this is when the problem occurred. Mr. Wright, who she thought had left the scene, came back to check on the victim. And on top of that, because of the power outage, some students showed up as well. It's hardly any wonder that she was, as she put it, in a state of panic. Recall that she was carrying that bottle of poisoned cold medicine. She must have thought, what if they search me like they did 8 months ago?
8 months ago?
Yes, she disposed of the evidence exactly the same way as she did back then. She had someone else hold it, in this case Duck Swallow. Oh, come on now, everyone. Surely you aren't fooled, are you? This stupid woman. She's nothing but a filthy, stinking liar. Right, Mr. Prosecutor?
Yes, that's exactly right. It's just pure desperation.
I wonder which one of us is the desperate one. So, Miss Hawthorne, this cold medicine, I wonder if you wouldn't mind taking some? Well, Mr. Wright ate that necklace of yours, right? Now it's your turn to prove your innocence. What do you say?
If I'm just a filthy, stinking liar, then there's no need to worry. So come on, show us. I dare you to take some of the medicine right now.
Mia Fey! Do you think you've won? Do you think so, Mia Fey? That's just fine.
For the time being, victory is yours. For the time being? Well, I have a very long memory, you know. You and I will meet again. I'm certain of it. Well then, Mr. Judge, I'll see you later too, okay?
Why? Yes.
I'm going to go spend a little quality time with the men in blue now. I wish you all the best. It's finally all over.
I refuse to accept this. The defense hasn't shown a scrap of evidence to support their outrageous claim.
But even so, your witness seems to have accepted it.
I don't care. I was in pain. And I don't believe one word that this rookie liar has said.
Well then, Mr. Payne, let me ask you this.
Yes?
Would you care to try this cold medicine?
What?
Just a little earlier, I could have sworn you said...
For example, I would trust the witness Miss Hawthorne with my very life.
So, if she's so trustworthy, then I'm sure there couldn't possibly be any poison here, right?
Well, you see, yeah.
And here comes the backpedal. Come on now, rookie killer. Show this rookie how it's done. How much trust do you really have for this woman? Are you willing to bet your life?
Mr. Payne, about Miss Dahlia Hawthorne?
Yes, Your Honor. I'll file papers for immediate arrest.
Tragic, but not surprising. I knew there was something suspicious about her from the very beginning.
Don't lie, just admit you were wrong. I can honestly say I suspected her. I never trust a character that acts overly innocent or acts like a total bumbling idiot.
By the way, Miss Fey,
Yes, Your Honor.
you said earlier that you and Miss Dahlia Hawthorne knew each other.
Your Honor, how we knew each other had nothing to do with this case.
Very well. Mr. Payne?
This can't be happening. It's a nightmare. It's like losing to my daughter.
It appears Mr. Payne has lost the spirits along with his hair. Does the defendant have anything further to say?
It can't be true. Like, dear doll.
Very well then. I believe I am ready to pass judgment and bring this trial to an end. The court finds the defendant, Mr. Phoenix, right. This court is adjourned. Mia, you were wonderful in there.
Thank you for everything, Mr. Grossberg.
During the verdict, I thought my hemorrhoids were going to explode like Mama Sylvia's.
Mr. Grossberg, do you maybe think you could stop talking about them?
That's rather rude. Anyway, this case really made me think. What does it really mean to have a relationship of mutual trust with the client?
Perhaps it's we veteran lawyers who have lost sight of this.
Oh, Mr. Wright. Congratulations.
Thanks. You know, I was thinking...
Go on.
The dolly that I saw there on the witness stand, I don't think that was really her.
What?
Yeah, the dolly I know could never have said those kind of terrible things. Maybe she was like, I don't know, a fake or something.
This poor kid still hasn't got a clue. You need to forget about her, Mr. Wright. For your own sake.
Yeah, you're right. It's probably for the best.
Also, you need to relax a bit more. Try to grow up a little.
But out of all of my friends, everyone says I'm the most grown up.
Yeah. What kind of company must this guy keep?
Right now, I'm studying to become a lawyer myself.
That's what you keep saying. But I thought you were in art department.
Well, yeah, I guess I am. But there's a friend that I desperately want to help. And if I hurry, then I should still be able to save him in time.
I see.
Miss Faye? A lawyer is someone who can help people when they're in trouble, right?
Mr. Wright, I'm still new at this myself. But I think that's exactly what a lawyer is.
Okay, I'm going to do it. I'll study my butt off. I'll become a lawyer for sure. I hope we see each other again someday. Maybe even in court.
It's been 5 years since I was acquitted of all charges. I became a lawyer like I planned, and managed to save my friend. But Mia has passed on to a better place. For me, this trial brings up a lot of painful memories. But it also brings up some very precious ones. And memories that I thought would never rise to the surface again. Mia is gone now. But even so, I can hear her in my mind. Phoenix, no matter what, always believe in your client. In a court of law, your greatest weapon is your belief. 5 long years. Something has happened that's made me think back to her words of wisdom. But that is a story for another day.